guys, Thogden here, and welcome back to a predictions video on the Asian Cup, which of course I've been covering since the beginning. I'm joined by my good mate Ben from Euronews. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. It's been a good tournament so far, hasn't it? It's been so much better than I think people maybe thought.
We're going to predict the rest of it. We're both picking a winner today. First of all, I'm going to let you set the like target on this video.
Let's go 15.
Let's go 15,000.
Why not?
For the Asian Cup. Now, the first match is Qatar versus Palestine, the hosting nation playing at home, 9 points from 3 games against the underdogs, Palestine. They sneaked their way through with that win against Hong Kong. They nearly beat UAE, and I thought they could have come away with 2 wins from the group, which nobody expected. They've come together and they are fighting.
This is such a cool matchup. Without getting too political, but due to how much support Qatar has shown Palestine, like just everybody there will be kind of like happy to see both teams
They're
win.
brothers.
Like
they're brothers.
It's crazy, yeah.
They've finally got a voice in football.
Yeah.
But does that run end here?
I think it does, and that's not a slight on Palestine whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think it's more just how impressive Qatar have looked so far. I went to the opening game and, look, Lebanon just could not deal with that kind of thief. And then you've got players like Al Hadous, who's their hero, their poster boy, scoring goals like that against China.
That's a Puskas contender.
Exactly.
I watched that in the stadium.
Paul Scholes-esque.
Yeah.
Sort of straight out of the Paul Scholes playbook.
During a 0-0, like when you're 3-0 up, try it. But
Yeah.
with a 0-0, it just shows you they're in comfort mode here. I agree with you. Qatar will beat Palestine. So if we're both saying Qatar go through, the winner of Uzbekistan and Thailand will play them. And this is such a beautiful story. This is why I've come to the Asian Cup. For new footballing, underdog, hero, comebacks. Nobody thought both these nations would make it through. And they have, and they're fighting. I watched Uzbekistan destroy India, whipped out the skills, 3-0, kept another clean sheet. Then they held Australia to a 0-0. How do you think they're playing at the moment?
There's been quite a few teams that just have shown up and have quite a few goals in them. Even Malaysia yesterday against Korea, not to get ahead of ourselves, but scoring 3 goals against one of the favourites. There's been quite a few teams like that that have come up and with attacking prowess have just kind of surprised everybody.
Well, I've never known about the Uzbekistan first division, but some of these players they're whipping out from there.
Yeah, exactly.
The skills they're bringing out, the strength they have, the physicality and pace on the wing. They're using the flanks really well. Uzbekistan, очень красиво. But will it end here against Thailand? Because they battered Jordan 4-0. Then they came through with a 0-0 draw against Saudi Arabia. They're doing really well.
It's defensively, and this is why this is a really interesting matchup, because even last night against Saudi, in the second half, Saudi, there weren't loads of missed chances that were on a plate. It was players getting their body in the way. It was good organisation, and I think Saudi genuinely found them very difficult to break down. So for me, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, but I fancy Thailand.
I couldn't name you one Thai player, but when they play together, they look like a really solid side. I'm going to go with Uzbekistan. You're going to go with Thailand, but I think the beauty of this match is whoever wins will go on a cheeky run. Iran now against Syria. 2 teams which, from the Middle East, Iran came away with 9 points, won everything they had to offer. Azmoun Taremi up top, they are dangerous.
They're scoring loads of goals. Obviously, we saw what we could do at the World Cup as well, and I think therefore, coming into this, they were a team that maybe weren't in the top bracket of favourites, but certainly in that kind of secondary group of teams. And I think this will be relatively straightforward for them personally.
To be honest, Syria, they're one of the teams that it was very emotional. I love to see that the staff came together and were literally in tears that they made it through. So to see Syria at this stage already is iconic, and it was their club legend, it was their hero of the country to score that late goal against India to send them through. However, I was with the Indian fans and I was thinking most of the game that this game could go either way. I don't see Syria going any further. Bahrain versus Japan. Now, I can't believe Bahrain topped the group. They had the 3rd best goal difference. I think they were even 4th coming into the match day 3. Somehow, they found a way. Asian Cup, man, you'll never understand it. Which way are you backing now?
I will go with Japan. Typically of the heavyweights, even at a World Cup or at Euros, some of the heavyweights, they really don't click into gear until the knockout stages. Obviously they lost to Iraq. Iraq have been one of the surprises of the tournament so far.
Japan have won this competition more than anyone else, and they've always reaped quality. This time round, I think if there's one position they lack is fullbacks. If Bahrain have some class wingers and they can get under their skin, maybe they'll get a goal, but I agree with you. Japan to go through this round, I think they'll get the job done. Australia against Indonesia. What a game.
I know.
Jassim bin Hamad, I believe it's at, which is Al Saad's local ground. I watched South Korea's opening game there. What you understand is it's only 13,000 fans allowed in there.
But it feels like more.
And it does. And Indonesians, they're right by the pitch. They are the noisy ones. Australians, there aren't too many out here, only a few family and friends of the players. I think there'll be a 12th man at this game. I've got really in with the Garuda audience, Timnas Garuda. I love the players. I mean, they were one of the youngest squads in the whole competition. Nobody expected them to make it through to the final 16. They've never done it at an Asian Cup before. Can we see a potential upset?
When you put it like that, you make a very convincing case. But I think on the flip side, Australia, despite their lack of support this tournament, and that's for a good reason. I mean, it's such a long way for Australians to travel, and they've just come for the World Cup. But I do think that as well, Australian football is riding the crest of a wave at the moment.
They don't have Jason Cummings, who's their forward, who didn't get the call up. A lot of players who are playing in Championship Premier League said no, so they could focus on English football. They'll probably be regretting it.
Indonesia, look, they caused Japan a lot of problems, and I think it's been a good story so far, but I do think that with the momentum that Australia have, I think that they'll be too much for them.
I don't think Australia are clinical enough. They didn't beat Uzbekistan. They did score 2 past India, but India had their chances.
Yeah, and they made them work very hard.
And that's one of the lowest ranked teams in the whole competition. I just think it's going to go to penalties, and somehow Indonesia win it. I spoke to Alkan Bago at the last Indonesia game. He's going to score a header from a corner. This might be the best game of the last 16. Saudi Arabia have drawn South Korea.
Yeah, I think this is a really good litmus test for Saudi to see where they are exactly. Because look, Kyrgyzstan, Oman and Thailand in the group stage, they've looked in control of all those games, but they are beatable teams. Let's see how they do against Heung-min Son and Korea. That's what we want.
Well,
it's Mancini versus Klinsmann. It's everything that you want in a round of 16 tie.
Yeah, 2 managers with lots of hype around them. To be honest, I got very bored watching the last 90 minutes of Saudi.
Well, yeah.
And it's against Thailand, and I know they're a solid team. You backed them to go to the final 8, but I just don't see enough from Mancini's tactics so far.
Interesting.
Salim Al-Dawsari, I don't know what's happened to him. Different manager, different rules, tactics. I'm not sure if Mancini's the one. With South Korea, I know the last 2 games, they couldn't beat Jordan, couldn't beat Malaysia. But my God, we are waiting for a front 3 of Hwang Hee-chan, Heung-min Son, Kang In-lee. That's when Klinsmann will have all his perks. I just can't see Saudi beating Korea. And you can clip me. I just don't see it happening. I'm sorry, Saudi fans.
I've gone with Saudi here because I think defensively, at the moment, they look very organised. They're dominating a lot of the ball in those group games against those teams. I think that with Korea leaking goals, I worry for them, I do.
The last 2 games of the last 16, let's get straight to it with Tajikistan against UAE. I can't believe both these teams made it through.
I know, it's interesting, because I actually spoke to a few experts beforehand, and they were all kind of suggesting the UAE is a bit of a dark horse. They've not impressed me at all.
No.
There's obviously a really nice story developing with Tajikistan. Everybody's kind of fallen in love with their manager.
It's amazing.
He's
What a
bit
guy.
of a character. But I do think that the UAE, on the flip side, they have found a way, and I think they will find a way here.
Well, that's the funny thing with Tajikistan, right? The way they played, and then that last match against Lebanon, scoring that win in the 92nd minute. Just because of that alone. Tajikistan, you're going to do it, fellas. And the final game, but it's a big one. Iraq versus Jordan. 2 teams right up there. Jordan won very big at the beginning, but then flew it away to Bahrain. How do you lose 1-0? They fell back into that group, but they're still through. And of course, we can't forget Iraq. 3 games, 9 points, 8 goals scored. They're flying, aren't they?
They're my underdog story. Ayim Hussein's on fire. They've got a real prolific goal scorer there.
Yeah,
I think they go through.
Some of the Iraqi First Division players have some really good chemistry. I know a few of the boys play for Al-Qawa, Al-Jawar, which are top of the Iraqi league. And of course, as you've already mentioned, Ayim Hussein, El Ibi, to name a few, smashing it for the national team. And it's that chemistry that you bring from club to country. That's like a cheat code, isn't it? I do agree that Iraq will have too much here for Jordan. We agree in the final one, Iraq to go through. And that is our final 8. Both of us on the screen now. So, Qatar, Uzbekistan. I actually think the hosts go home empty-handed, or they stay home. Uzbekistan in the final 4.
So I've got Qatar versus Thailand in my first game, but I've got Qatar to go through.
Next match, Iran-Japan. Oh my God, what a quarterfinal matchup that is. That could go either way. I just think Iran will find a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, look, I would love Japan to go out here because I'm a Liverpool fan and I need Endo home immediately. But I fancy Japan.
The next match, of course, Indonesia. I said we'll find a way through to the quarters. It would be a dream, and they would have to face South Korea, where I think it's too much. They've probably got one of their golden generations. I think they do beat Indonesia in 90 minutes.
In this quarterfinal, I've got Australia versus Saudi.
Who's going to go through from this place?
I think Saudi.
Let's move on to the next one. Tajikistan. I said we'll find a way through to the last 8, which would be heroic again for a country that probably never expected that. But they're facing Iraq, and they're one of the favourites to win it now after how they've started. So I think Ayman Hussein and the lads will be too much. They're going to find a way through again to the final 4.
I've got Iraq to play the UAE.
And you think Iraq?
And I think it'll be Iraq. I think that's
There we go.
where
So we
it is.
agree on Iraq.
Yeah.
My semi-final, the first match, is Uzbekistan against Iran. What's yours?
I've got Japan versus Qatar.
I'm going to say, for mine, that Iran beat Uzbekistan. I know there's too much quality in that Iran team. They'll get the job done. They will be a finalist of the Asian Cup 2023.
I've got the similar kind of narrative to that. I think that will then be a step too far for Qatar. I think Japan, therefore, will go through from there.
The other one for me, South Korea, Iraq. What a game. This is where I see a shock upset. Against the odds, Iraq make it through, which means my final is Iran versus Iraq here in Qatar.
Right, I've got Iraq versus Saudi, and I've got Iraq going through as well.
There we go. We've both got Iraq in the final. Mine is Iran, yours is Japan.
Yep.
Tell me, who is winning the final of the Asia Cup? Who is going to be lifting the 2023 Asia Cup trophy?
I've got to back the boys. I'll go in Japan.
Their fifth Asian Cup, they're going to get it.
100%.
History rewrites itself.
Yeah, I think so.
My final, do you know what? To announce who's going to win from Iran and Iraq, I'm going to have to go to my wardrobe. I'm going to have to grab something. This will be a little secret. The winner of the 2023 Asian Cup will be, Iraq!
Iraq.
2007
Good shout, yeah.
rewrites itself. This would be iconic. And again, an underdog story. Smash the like if you agree. Iraq are bringing home the Asian Cup.
Yeah.
In this tournament, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Ben, it's been a pleasure.
Pleasure, mate.
Keep up the work with Euronews.
Thanks very much.
Go follow his Twitter, link in the description. Get down in the comments. I'll be commenting, responding to the early comers. See you in a bit. Bye-bye.